Hi, I'm Chelsea Barrett. I'm the winemaker at Materra, Cunat Family Vineyards. Here today with Chef David Verzello. Together we're showing a video of one of his creations with our 2018 Viognier, one of my favorites. It's all from our estate here in Oak Knoll. Really delicate, beautiful wine. It's got some nice melon and jasmine with a little bit of oiliness, but it's still very, very crisp. So super tasty, and I'm excited to see what Chef David has come up with to pair with it.
Sure, thank you, Chelsea. So today, to pair with this Viognier, which I absolutely love, it's a nice crisp wine, and so we're heading into summer, and this is when corn season is about to take off, and I think the sweetness of the corn cut with a little dryness of the crisp Viognier make a wonderful pairing, and then you have the sweetness of the scallops. It's perfect, and the dryness of the wine is fabulous. We're going to actually add a little bit of Succotash around the edge, so give it with a little salt, a little bacon in there, so all the flavors will come together.
Sounds tasty.
Thank you. Well, the first thing I like to do with scallops is take them out of the packaging and put them in some water and just rinse them off. So I do one rinse, then I fill it back up with cold water, and I do a short brine. People don't generally brine seafood, but this is a trick I learned from a griller, and what I found is just put a little bit of salt in the water, stir it up. You can do this with any seafood, shrimp, salmon, halibut, and what this does is it puts more moisture back into the fish. It's osmosis, is what the salt is doing. And it will change the texture and allow it plumped up enough so that it won't stick on a grill, for instance. If you're grilling a piece of fish, it actually makes it more stick together in a better way, be more plump, so it doesn't like get dry and like flake off on the grill. So this way, just do it for a little while. They get rid of any funky flavor. The salt will wash. It's actually salt is a cleanser. It will also clean them, and then they will be more plump and juicy, and they won't break apart when you're cooking them.
That's a good tip. Makes total sense. And why doesn't everybody do that?
I'm going to move on to the corn puree. So a little tips about corn. Corn, sweet corn is amazing. And the sweetness of the corn, 50% of the sugars in a corn kernel will turn to starch within the first 24 hours after it's been cut from the stalk. So that's huge. So if you can get corn that's cut the same day, like there's Brentwood corn down in, so if you ever go to the farmer's market, when the Brentwood corn comes, and they cut theirs like 4 o'clock in the morning, and when they get it to the farmer's market. If you can get that and cook it that day, you're gonna have the best corn you've ever had. You wanna look for really good, nice corn like this, and so give me a minute, I'm gonna shuck all this, and then we'll come back. Now we're gonna take the kernels of the corn off. So I'm gonna teach you a little trick about how to cut corn in a safe way, because most people, we've seen it where they try and hold it like this, and it's really not a very smart thing to do. It's very unstable, and it goes everywhere. So what you should do is this. Just turn it on 4 sides. You just take it across like that, and then you can go down. Take these corners. So for this recipe, we're going to save the cobs, because the cobs, a lot of that starch and milk is starch. It'll make it a creamier consistency. So we want to save that. We're actually going to put this into the pot that we're going to be cooking. While the corn is cooking on the stove for the puree, I'm going to go ahead and take one of the ears of corn, and we're going to and some of these other vegetables, and we're going to make a little succotash as a garnish to go with our scallops. I'm going to take some of these tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, cut them into quarters. You kind of want things to be, or maybe even a little smaller, an eighth. That's for this bigger one. You want things to be approximately the same size when you're making succotash. So those are a little bigger than a corn kernel, but the tomatoes, the squash, you know, all the flavors of summer. Put a little bit of a basil oil with it. These are called planks. And if you're looking for the culinary term, you cut these things, lay them out in planks. Bacon makes everything better. This is actually Hobbs extra thick bacon. I don't know if you can see it, how thick that is. And then we're going to cut it in a French style, which is called a lardon, which is a large, thin chunk like this. I'm going to start sauteing up this bacon. Even though bacon has a lot of fat in it, I will always start it with a little bit of oil so it doesn't, especially on a stainless steel pan, so it doesn't stick. There's a shallot I'm just gonna add in there. Shallots are good. They're in the onion family. If you don't know what they are, they're sweeter and more mild than a regular onion. A few sprigs of thyme, and pick off the leaves. Put them into our mixture. A little pepper. One other thing that I've done ahead is I've taken some of this basic olive oil. I took a bunch of basil and I simmered it on a low temperature for maybe 10 minutes. The corn has been boiling away, so I'm going to put the corn into my Vitamix. I haven't added any salt or anything. This is just the corn and the water right now. If the corn is really sweet, like I said, if it's cooked on the same day that it's cut, you don't want to add anything because you want that flavor. If your corn is a little bit older, taste it yourself, see if you want to add a little salt. It might need it. And sometimes if it's really old and starchy, if you do it with that corn, which I wouldn't recommend because you're not going to get the same result, I would say add a little bit of sugar even to that kind of a corn if you want to get that flavor out. It's going to save some of the starchy water, but I want to add it in as it's needed. Just a little bit of the water. So then, this is a very fine mesh strainer. So I'm putting it through here. And this actually takes a little bit because there is a lot of particulate that won't go through. So it's a little bit of a time-consuming thing. Not too bad. Here we have our sauce that we finished, the corn puree. Now we've got these scallops that we brine. Once you've gotten them all wet and taken them out of the brine, I'd like to take them off and pat them all dry because when you're gonna get them screeching hot on this pan, you want to make sure that you're not steaming them. You want to get that crust, you know, that little sear, the brown crust on the top of your scallop. You won't get that. It'll just stay white if there is any moisture on the scallop. You're going to want to salt and pepper. Always season everything before you cook it. Both sides. Scallops are best cooked to the point where they're a little bit opaque in the center. Take our sauce in this pan and heat it up. Well, here, Chesley, this is it. I hope you enjoy it. We've got the seared scallops, we've got the corn puree below, and then we've got the succotash surrounding it.
Awesome.
And then I just put a couple edible flowers on there. Dig in and tell me what you think.
Yeah. That is super tasty. That is a perfect scallop. Eat some of these little goodies on the bacon. Awesome. I think the acid of everything in the dish of the tomatoes and all goes really well with mirroring the amount of acid in the wine, but also the weight of it and the oiliness really matches too between the scallops and the Viognier.
Perfect.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's really great together.
Thank you.